Hi, everyone. I'm James Protin. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for the podcast. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. We are back at Chico Bachello, or the Friendly Confines, for episode number 51. We're bumping up against our one-year anniversary, which is just totally amazing to me. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this for a year already, but we're really having a good time. And I have a great show today for you. We have two of my favorite people, my favorite young people who keep me young and keep me on my toes. To my left, we have Ashley Reed and Tyler Watts. And welcome to the show. You guys are veterans. You've both been on here before in different capacities. In full disclosure, these young ladies are colleagues of mine at GPI, my day job that thankfully Nick's mom, our collective boss, allows us to do this so that we can. And we'll do a commercial for GPI. Isn't GPI wonderful? It's great to work there. It's a great place to work.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
See, there you go. There you go. And so thank you. Listen, it's great to have you guys here. It really is.
Good to be here.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited. So I'd like to start off with something very simple with you guys just introducing yourselves, and we'll start with Ashley. You're to my immediate left. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you have going on in your life right now, and we'll get a little deeper as we go forward.
Okay. Well, I'm 30 years old. I'm a resident of Canonsburg, where we are right now at Chico Bachello. I've been here for about 2.5 years, 3 years. Live with my significant other, my boy, and my 2 dogs and my cats.
And your boy, his name? You can say his name. It's okay.
Andrew Hefner.
Andrew Hefner.
He's a Hefner.
He's a Hefner,
yes.
And yes, he's that Hefner. He's a connection to Hugh Hefner.
Allegedly.
Well, but listen, no allegedly. If you have that, you say, yes, I am. Go ahead.
We don't believe everything that Uncle Steve says.
Oh, okay. Well.
But yeah, I grew up outside of Cleveland, Ohio. That's where I was born and raised. Most of my family still lives out that way. Went to the University of Akron to get my BS in civil engineering. After school, I moved to West Virginia to do engineering consulting, and then, about 3 years ago, landed at GPI and moved up here to Pittsburgh.
Excellent. Wonderful. We're happy you're here. Tyler, what about you?
Me, I'm 31 years old, born and raised in Pittsburgh on the north side of Pittsburgh. Okay. Went to public school there, went to the University of Toledo. I love art. I'm really into art. I paint a lot, in my free time.
Okay. And you need to get a painting here.
I know, I do.
I'm serious, though. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay.
Other than that.
How'd you sneak past University of Pittsburgh?
I just wanted to be far enough from home where I could just say that, I'm not home and no one can bother me. I can be far enough from, my mom.
Okay.
Get that.
But close enough you can come back.
Close enough I can drive back.
Yeah.
I didn't get to that point until after college.
Yeah, there
but
you
I got
go.
to that
There
point
you
too.
go.
Yeah, I thought it through.
So you guys are very similar stages, and as far as career path, but you do two pretty much different things. Even though you both your degree's in civil engineering as well,
it is in civil
so you
engineering.
both have BS civil engineering, but you do different roles as you come up through, particularly now at GPI, where you've been more on the design and project management side. You've been more focused on the construction side, construction management. Right. So was that a conscious choice you made? Did you want to go into construction?
I did.
Okay.
When I was in college, I explicitly remember myself realizing I did not want to design stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going down the design route. I'm going to go towards the management route.
It's not a fit for everybody, right? Yeah. It's not a fit.
Right. And I always knew I wanted to go into water management too.
Okay.
I was just very intrigued by water and, the importance of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wanted to explore that and use that as a way to help people. That's how I got
That's
into
the
this.
great thing about what we do for a living is you can physically see the benefit, the end result of the work you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can make people's lives better.
Yes.
And it's a cliche, but water is life, right?
It is.
You can go a lot longer without food than you can without water.
Yeah.
As humans. So, but your path, were you design oriented from the beginning, or is that something?
I was definitely like water focused based on my experience in college, and my internship during college was in the water industry. So I've always sort of been drawn to the water industry. And I would say just early on in my career, some of the significant mentors I had really helped me build my technical skills and taught me the importance of the design work. And that was really influential in my career path. Which there was construction management involved too. I mean, it was sort of a start to finish type of role, which was obviously very beneficial for understanding the whole process. But yeah, when I worked down in West Virginia, I had a mentor. His name was Phil Simmons, and he really took me under his wing. And he would sit down and we would go through a spec book, and he would read it with me and help me understand it like word by word, line by line. And I'm just so grateful for that because it really made me a better engineer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And he was just such a wonderful person. He actually passed while I was still working there. He had colon cancer.
Oh, geez.
Which was really tragic. I only got like a short 2 years with him, but he was very influential in my technical skills. So he's very near and dear to my heart.
Well, he had an impact, right?
Yeah,
Just the fact that you're telling that story. I
Absolutely.
mean, and that's a huge deal because, you know, you and I have had conversations with Diane Altland, you know, because she never had the benefit of mentors when she was a young engineer. Tyler, you and I and Diane, we have a common background. We all worked for what was Chester Engineers, then became Hatch. And at the time, mentorship and that type of thing wasn't a thing then, right? They do it now much better. But back then, in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was all about getting the projects out, making money, doing, you know, we actually would have meetings and we would, our boss would sit and tell, it was almost like a sales meeting. Right? We'd tell us where we were at as far as revenue we're bringing in the door. And it was more about that than it was taking care of the client or learning to be a good engineer. So Diane never had that benefit.
You know, I'm very lucky. And to be honest, he was a little bit of a curmudgeon, or he could be. But even like when he was going through his radiation treatment and everything, I was always able to bring a smile to his face. So I think that's why him and I connected so much.
Right. Well, that's a big deal. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. I always told my granddaughters, if you make somebody smile, you're pretty special. That's a superpower, right? I mean, it truly is. It is. So how about you? Have you had a significant mentor that, you know, on your journey that made a difference in your career path? Yeah,
I mean, specifically, I would speak of after I graduated college when I started at Chester. Actually, I had I was an assistant project manager or construction manager, and the construction manager I was working under, he really took it upon himself to teach me everything he knew. And that was special for me because I could tell like that environment wasn't really like, you know, you should mentor her. It was really just a personal thing that he wanted to do. His name's Don Gahn.
I know Don very well.
You know Don?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Don's a good man.
He's a character. Yeah, he's really he's a,
those are the best kind of people.
Yeah, he says it how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I really appreciated that. I mean, he would take me to every job site with him when I first started. He would tell me, that's what you don't want to do. You know, this is not it. You know, don't do this, don't do that. But also, you know, you want to make sure of these things. You know, he really tried to outline the important things to me, things that really stuck with me and things that I still carry with me right now. So I really greatly appreciated that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I think, again, a mentorship relationship is not something that can be forced. You can't put people together. That has to happen organically.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I've seen companies where they've assigned, and I've had it done to me. You're going to mentor this person.
Yep.
No, I'm not. I can't do that. I mean, you know, it's not, you know, or vice versa. So when you think about the industry as it is today, okay, now you both have been, you know, 8-10 years out of school. So have you seen, I mean, obviously I'm an old guy, so I've seen significant changes. Have you seen any changes in over the course of your career to where you're at today? Is there anything that jumps out at you that that is either better or worse?
In the industry?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky my entire career to have a lot of female role models and leadership in my career experience. So that's, I'm assuming, different than it was 30, 40 years ago. So that's probably one of the bigger changes. And I would say, I mean, the cultures are different where I used to work versus GPI, right? So that's hard to compare. It's like apples and oranges. But at my previous job, I would say that because there were little things that I wish had been different for my experience, I took it upon myself to try to help those that were new and younger and underneath me. Yeah. So I was trying to be that change because I didn't like my experience, or it wasn't exactly what I expected. So I kind of wanted to influence that a little bit when I was still there.
Good. That's excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I would say when I started at Chester in 2016, most of all of the managers there were 40 plus.
Oh yeah.
And white males.
2016, probably that's that is right after I left there, and I know and that was the thing. It was a very middle-aged white male dominated culture at Chester.
Yeah, especially in the office, in the specific office I was working at. It was really a lot
which was amazing at that time because
a lot of experience.
It was an MBE firm. Right. So it was a minority business enterprise. Yeah. But it was predominantly, a middle-aged white male culture.
Right.
So let me go back a little bit. And I bounce around a lot. You guys both know me.
I know this about you.
I bounce around. Yeah. So we had talked earlier, the story I told you guys about the first female engineer I ever worked with, right? And it was the equivalent of seeing a unicorn walk down the street. They just were that rare. That you had a professional engineer, a licensed PE that was a woman, right? It was just not something that young women, young girls thought about coming out of high school. So did you know you wanted to be an engineer, say when you were in high school?
Not initially, no. I was always good at math and science. I always liked math and science, but I had a really influential math teacher. My calculus teacher in high school was absolutely phenomenal. So I wanted to be a math teacher because I loved her so much. So it wasn't until I was in AP Physics, which was either my junior or senior year, I can't remember. But the universities in Ohio came and spoke to our high school quite a bit. So like the engineering programs from Cincinnati, Ohio State, Akron, Toledo, all came and did little presentations to our AP Physics class. Hey, in case you didn't know, there's all these different types of engineering, and this is what each one kind of does, and this is where you can go with it. And we need more women in engineering. So they really kind of pushed that agenda in my AP Physics class, which is why I started looking into the engineering programs, and that's how I landed there. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
So
excellent.
I looking back, I realized, I've always really loved building things and problem solving and Lego sets. I always loved those. I just never put two and two together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I have something similar, experience similar to that. I grew up with my not my stepdad, but my goddad.
Okay.
He would take us, me and my cousins and my siblings. He flipped houses.
Okay.
So he would redo all the remodeling himself. He did all the work. So I witnessed a lot of that, and I got to participate in that as a young child.
That's where the construction bug came from.
So the construction, I love building blocks. I used building blocks, the little wooden ones, after school every day at my grandma's house growing up. Oh. And then when I went to high school, I had a great math teacher too in 10th grade. My algebra teacher.
Where'd you go to high school?
Shout out Miss Tyndall. Perry High School.
Perry? Okay.
I went to Perry High School.
Oh, you went to Perry?
Yeah, but Perry, Lake County, Ohio.
Okay.
Wow.
Different Perry, but Perry. That's interesting.
That is funny.
Jeez.
Wow. It's so funny how life works like that. But she was amazing, and she took us on a field trip to Falling Water, Frank Lloyd Wright's house.
Sure.
And that was where I initially made the connection to art and science, to math, and being creative.
Right.
Because I knew those two things about me. I really wanted to drive my career with those two things. So.
Oh, okay. And most people don't think math, math, science, and art creativity can live in the same brain.
Right.
But it is possible.
Right. And that's what kind of led me to engineering, because I thought I wanted to be an architect after that. Of
Okay,
course.
well, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody that goes to Falling Water wants to be an architect.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's
It's
a little
that cool.
bit too straight and narrow. I don't know exactly what I want to do yet. I don't know if that's something, and I knew it was competitive too. So I just was exploring around, the mad dash in 11th grade to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Figure it out when you're 17 years old.
And so, just through research of trying to combined the options, what's similar to an architect, and then civil engineering came up, and I explored that, and I said, this is the road for me.
Nice.
Okay. So are you given an opportunity to go back into high school and talk to kids, not necessarily your own high school? And if not, if you were given that opportunity, what would you do with that?
I have been given that opportunity quite a bit, both at my old job and now at GPI. What I love about GPI is that's almost a value-added part of our company. We have this Cradle to Career program, which I know you know about. But for those that don't, we really have this initiative for everybody from engineers to surveyors, construction inspectors, admins to put together a profile about who they are, how they got to where they are, and what they do. And we use that information to send that out to students. We go out and talk to students high school age and younger. And that's something I have done my entire career. Good. I used to do this Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, which was really fun. It was hosted by Pierpont down in Fairmont.
I love that. That's something that we absolutely need to initiate with our group here.
It was so cool. Yeah. They had the whole day planned, and we were just kind of there as the engineers to talk about our personal experience, but we did different activities, like team building activities, but also sort of design build related activities. And that was one of my favorite activities days that I've ever done as far as STEM outreach goes. So it's definitely something super important to me because it was so influential in my decision to go into engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say at Hatch, they did have a program. It was like a social outreach program, and they would, I don't remember the exact name of that program, but they would bring in grade school kids, and the one challenge was to build a bridge, with toothpicks and gumballs and stuff like that. So, I've had that experience. I really wanted to create a program though when I was at Chester to go back, and I was in contact with Miss Tyndall from Perry, to come and talk to the kids, because I realized how important that was for me to even discover engineering. But when I came to GPI, and I realized that we have that program, and I've only been here for 8 months, so I'm still new, but I would like to really participate in that program.
So why don't you create that program you just mentioned? Create it here.
Yeah, it's already kind of created.
We'll support you 100%.
Just have to build on it.
Take it and build on it. Take it and make it yours. Make it personalize it. Make it what you think that where you've been. You've sat in that chair.
Right.
I got my eyes open years ago. I had a guy, an engineer, tell me that I was at a seminar, and he said the next great generation of engineers, right, is in 8th grade sitting in math class right now.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about kids and introducing them to engineering, especially girls, is 11th grade too late? Do we need to be in middle school? Do we need to be in 8th grade planting that seed?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was even going into 3rd grade classes.
Yeah,
and we did little build your own skee ball ramp activities with 3rd graders, and they loved it. But we would kind of start them thinking about, this is how engineers do problem solving, and this is the kind of building activities that you can do as an engineer. So even in 3rd grade, we were starting that. Yeah.
I don't think it's too early of an age.
No.
I think that should be.
8th grade is probably pretty perfect. So that Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day was 8th graders.
I would love to see our group here in Pittsburgh, really develop that into something that just becomes a go-to, a standard that we do all the time, right? There's, when you think about Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, just the tri-state area, and all of the great engineering schools that we have access to. Right here where we're sitting, Pitt, Carnegie Mellon, WVU. Youngstown State's right over there, got a nice engineering program. Not to mention Ohio State, Cincinnati, Toledo, Akron, Case Western. There's so many opportunities to get into this. And, when you guys know my story a little bit. I stumbled into this. I was going to school to be a teacher, and we got derailed from that. And I got a job. My dad got me a job at PennDOT. At that point, one of my grandfathers worked on a railroad. Okay, and at that point in 1977, engineers drove a train. That's what an engineer did.
Yeah.
Right. You don't realize, and I still think people don't realize that literally everything in your day-to-day life. You will not do anything or touch any that wasn't touched at some point by an engineer, either designed or built or something by an engineer. This building that we're in, all of it, this table, everything, even a mug.
Right.
There's engineering that goes into that. Right? Creative engineering, but it's still engineering. So I would love to see you guys take that initiative, and don't wait for the old dudes. When you get, if Yanni can be crotchety at times, George is just George. Don't wait for us. Go take it upon yourselves. We'll support it 1,000%.
Yeah.
I think that'd be wonderful.
We'll put it into action.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice.
See that? We accomplished something.
Yeah.
Today. So we can tell Diane we can actually charge time for this thing because we did something. We came up with something. So if you guys have anything going on in any projects you want to talk about, then that makes the show billable. So that'd be good.
It's officially a business meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good. So now let's talk a little bit about GPI. Last year was my 40th year in the industry, and I'm not an engineer by education, more by vocation. Right? I've done literally every job in this business you can do. There's nothing that I haven't done yet, right? And some things that I probably shouldn't have done because they were, like letting somebody talk me into, tying a rope around my waist to give me a flashlight and going up a culvert to inspect a culvert. Bad idea. But I was 22. What did I know? Right? I needed a job. It was a job. He said, "Go do that." I did it. So but I've been there and done that. So, but when I came to GPI and when Diane brought this company to my attention, I've done business development, and I'm very proud of this, that I haven't had a billable hour in the industry since 1999. So that's really good. But I've been in business development, but I had 20 years before that. So one of the things that I had to do was I had to know our competitors, right? I had to know who they were, what they were doing, what their strengths, their weaknesses, all those things were. So when Diane mentioned she got hired at GPI, Greenman Peterson, and I'm like, that can't be good, right? I never heard of them. I've been almost at that point, because I've been here 3 years. So 37 years I've been doing this, and I've never heard of this firm. They can't be very good. It can't be, right? I mean, I would know about them. But once I started to do the research, then I realized, holy crap, this is a great firm. They just haven't been in this side of the industry, in the water space, right? But GPI has been, and the more I learned about it, it's just an amazing place. So we have this group, this team that we've built for a specific reason. And you guys have been brought into this team for a specific reason because you fit the team, right? So we got some old folks, some middle folks, some young folks, and I want you to speak freely. How do you feel about the direction where we're at right now and the direction we're going?
Oh.
Do you have any suggestions? In other words, is there something where I personally am leading the group that you think we need to make a little bit of a left turn or a right turn?
You kidding me? I'm so excited about everything we're trying to build. Well, it's not lost on me that I have a very unique opportunity at GPI, and I've really been elevated and empowered to take my career wherever I want it to go, right? There's no glass ceiling for me here.
For either of you. And honestly, when you think about where you guys are right now, you're in such an amazing position as young professionals. GPI's we're an ESOP, we're an employee-owned company, right? So technically, the three of us are part owners, right? We're partners. Right. But when you think about, you have Christopher Erickson, who's our CEO. He's a great CEO. He's right here. Then you've got Greg Johnson, who's our regional manager, and Diane. That's a pretty direct shot. Yeah. You guys literally could be sitting here. In fact, I've already told Christopher that you're Ashley's coming for him, but that's another story altogether. But you guys literally could be anything in this company that you choose to be, right? Yeah. You can make a career here that fits you perfectly in wherever you want to go and what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's very rare.
It is.
Yeah. We're not just put into a box and that's where you stay. You're able to explore other areas. You're able to make changes. You're able to try different things, or you can be involved in a little bit of everything if you want to. So that's really unique and really exciting as a young person in this industry. Yeah. And I really am thankful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
That was definitely what made me excited to join GPI too. when I had the opportunity to talk with you and interview with you all, and you're saying how you're building this water department, this water group, and it was just, endless possibilities as far as, being a part of the discussions, being a part of the decision making, and having an impact in the direction that the water group goes. That was very inspirational for me.
And I'm happy that you guys feel that you're a part of that process, right? Because we're set up where, although Diane, if you look at an organization chart, traditionally Diane's at the top of it, right? But when we sit down and we have our strategy meetings about, are we gonna go after this proposal or this, your voices get heard.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Your voices get heard, and that makes me very happy because that's what we're trying to build. We're essentially we're a 65-year-old 1,700 person startup company. Is really what we are. Because in the water space, we're brand spanking new. So we've spent time. We had to brand the firm. In when I first went and came here and I talked to Alcosan, for example, they didn't know who GPI was, and they're just like me. They never heard of it. Ohio, it doesn't matter where we went. We had to brand the company. Then we had to start the marketing and the relationship building. And we've tried to make sure that as we've put this team together, very strategically, that you guys even there's no hierarchy, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody ever pulls rank or anything like that. We're a true team.
Oh, and that's one of the most wonderful things about Diane and working for Diane is I can go to her for anything, with any question, for any advice. She always has an open door for me, and she is very approachable for me. And to have a boss like that, that's so reliable, is just, you couldn't ask for more.
Well, and you guys' relationships with Diane are both different, right? You've been down here at the plant in Cannonsburg on the construction side, which is it's been a great project, and you've been in the office, so you both have access to Diane from different perspectives, right? In both sides of that coin. She's a rock star.
Oh yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Hi, Diane.
Diane is.
I had to force them to say that, Diane. I'm sorry. We had a conversation before we went on the air. I don't want you to get a swelled head or anything. But.
No, I mean, I appreciate our team though that we have so far. It's really been, I think, instrumental in my growth. Just in these last 8 months, I feel like I've grown so much.
Everybody has something for you.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about even Joel. Right, being down there every day. So Joel is like he reminds me a lot of me when I was coming up through, because I didn't have a PE. Right, I wasn't that guy, and I was blessed early on. A guy that hired me, my first job, he said, "Look, dude, you will never, no matter how long you work in this industry, you will never be the smartest guy in any room you walk into." And he wasn't insulting me. He said, "You're a smart guy, but you will never be the smartest guy in any room you walk into." He said, "What does that mean to you?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "That means you damn well better be the hardest worker. So you won't be the smartest, but there's no reason why you can't be the hardest worker in that room." And that's the only reason I'm sitting here where I'm at, because of that piece of advice talking about mentorship.
Sure.
So I think that it makes me happy when I see, Ifeanyi and George and even Don Sentner. Don's a CAD designer, right? He's not an engineer, he's a CAD designer, but I see him talking to you guys and so this team is probably the best team that I've ever worked with. And even when I was at AECOM, which is AECOM's the biggest engineering firm in the world. Some amazing people, some of the best that there is. But for you guys' perspective with Diane, make sure you don't edit this part out because I want her to hear this part. Other than access, right? When you hear about guys like Alan Wong's one of the best in the entire world at this stuff. Alan is just, he's a legend, okay? We talk about Marco Aieta and Alan Cooper and these guys that are really nationally renowned as experts in their field.
Yeah.
The only difference between them and Diane is access.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
If Diane had been at Montgomery, if Diane had been at AECO, those things, if she had the access to what they did, she's every bit as good technically as that.
I'd agree with that.
You guys are blessed to have that type of mentor. And I mean, she is so impressed with both of you that it's just like, you can tell. I
feel
get excited.
lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all of us. And I feel that I'm lucky to have the two of you because you're both honest enough with me to tell me the truth, right? And respectful enough to listen to what I have to say. And if you disagree, to tell me and to tell me why. And that's what I want. I don't ever want anybody to just accept what I say. You know, I know this business in my mind, and in my heart, I know it as well as anybody does. But again, I'm not an engineer, right? So I want your perspective on not only, you know, if we go out and we're talking to a client, all right, and you have a question as to why I approach it a certain way, I want you to ask me, you know, and say, you think that was a good idea? You know, so.
And I feel comfortable enough to do that.
Yeah.
Which
I'm happy. I'm glad of that because
special.
Listen, I want your perspective, right? I want your perspective because, you know, we're sitting here, we're three very different people, come from three very different places. Now I have my youngest child, my stepson, is older than both of you. Okay, you know, I mean, it's like, it is what it is. You know, Terry has a granddaughter that's 20, so she's not that far behind you. So not only generationally, but, you know, gender, race, all of these things that should make us different really have made us a cohesive team.
Well, I think it's our differences that make us able to blend, you know?
Right.
It gives us the opportunity to be our individual selves and contribute the piece of the puzzle, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, when
That's
you
how
look
I
at
look at
when
it.
you look at our group, I don't know how we could be any more diverse than what we are. You know, I mean, we really, I mean, if you wanted to be cynical and just go down and check the boxes, we check every one. But the thing that's great about it is exactly that. We mesh. Everybody brings something to the table. Everybody brings a certain experience, a certain perspective that makes us better. And listen, right now, we are as good as a group as anybody doing this work. We really are. And we're going to get a chance to prove that coming up because a lot of the clients that we've been dealing with and building those relationships with now, the projects that we've been talking with them for the past year, we're starting to hit the street. So we're going to have an opportunity to go into Alcosan, to NERSD, and DC Water, and these places, and show them that we are who we say we are.
Right.
Right. And that's exciting.
It is.
That's exciting. That's why I'm still doing this at my age because that really gets you energized.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. So let me ask you a question. This is an interesting question. So if I say to you, Tyler, we have to go out to, and I just did this to her not long ago. That's why I'm asking you, because I know how she's going to answer. So if I say, Tyler, we got invited to Aspinwall to give a presentation tomorrow night, and I need you to come with me, and we're going to talk to them about engineering, and I'm going to be there basically for support. I'm going to say hello, thank you for having us, and this is Tyler Watts. She's an engineer, and she's going to take it from here.
How would I feel about it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be incredibly nervous.
Yeah.
You know, it would be, I would step up to it because that's who I am, you know?
There you go.
And that's kind of what I'm used to, you know, as well, working under
We're just so
pressure, you
much
know,
alike.
it's just like,
Sure.
Love it.
you know, it's like a flame being ignited. I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't like it. I would
Puts you out of your
probably like a little
comfort
bit
zone.
more time.
Out of your
to
comfort
prepare
zone?
mentally.
And
Yeah,
normally that's
where
what we
you
want.
But yeah,
push, right?
yeah, it's like.
But
all
if
right.
I get an
trust
opportunity,
me.
and we would do that. Normally we planned.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't that dramatic.
right.
but if we but what I like to do is get you outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
But knowing that I'm going to catch you, I'm not going to let you fall.
Right, exactly.
But if I carry you, if I prop you up, you're not going to get any better.
Right.
You're not going to learn. You're not going to get any better. So I want you guys, and always put yourself out there. Right. Don't sit and expect guidance. You have your own opinions. You have your thoughts. You have your experiences. I want you to share that with all of us.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
We just talked about that, right? Like, you make me feel like I don't need a crutch. We more so complement each other when we're in a room like that, in that setting.
And
I don't
I
need a
learn from both
crutch.
of you.
That's not why you're there.
I learned from both of you.
Yeah.
You guys have something to give me as much as I have to give you, right? And that goes for all of us. Diane, the whole group. So let's talk a little bit about how, and I don't know how personal you guys want to get, and I'm going to leave that up to you. But again, going back to your individual journeys, not necessarily where you come from or how you got here, but it's aside from the design and construction, all those things, you have cultural differences that are, you come from different places, different cultures, different situations, societal situations, right?
Yeah.
How has that either helped or hurt your path, your journey to here?
I think it helps me still to this day. I think everything that I've been through, as a African American, inner city public school, having great opportunities from specific people in my life, my grandma, my teachers, my family, career people, has really helped shape me. But the struggle is part of the journey too. And
sure.
Deciding to go to an out-of-state college was a big deal because that's more money.
Sure, absolutely.
It's more money. The University of Toledo, they were offering me, a partial scholarship, not nearly enough, for a portion of a semester, but it was something. I mean, when I got to school, I goofed off the first year. I mean, and I lost that scholarship. Yeah. So, it was like, I need to get serious because I really fought to be here.
So how did the people that propped you up and supported you, how did they take that?
They were still supportive of me because I actually, after that, I decided to take a year off of college. Okay. Because I was like, I can't waste money like this. I have to think about what I really want to do. Do you want to do this? So I actually came back and worked at the airport in a restaurant for a year.
Really?
Yeah, I worked there and was offered the position of store manager. It was a startup, and I had to make a choice. I was like, because if I stay here, if I take this job, I'm probably going to go a different route.
Absolutely.
And I had to decide, like, no, I actually want to go back to school and finish my engineering degree.
Good for you.
And I ran out of money a lot of times, and my grandma really was able to support me in that way. And then when she wasn't able to support me in that way, I had a great support at my actual school, at the engineering college itself. My advisor, Susan Rowe, she was really spiritual, very emotionally supportive and everything like that. And we prayed together and things like that.
That's awesome.
And the dean of the college actually reached out and got a scholarship grant for me personally.
Wow.
So I can finish my last year because I didn't have the money to pay, and I was like at the deadline, and it was like, if I don't have this money, I'm not going to graduate. I have to wait a whole nother year for those classes to be available.
Yeah. Right.
So that really worked out. It was just such a blessing. I feel like I was just blessed every step along the way.
Absolutely.
Honestly. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason, kiddo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't believe in coincidence. I think that, your advisor, all of that came into your life when you needed it.
Yeah.
Right? And coincidence isn't a thing.
Right.
There's purpose for everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like culturally it was the financial support part that was really the biggest struggle for me.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm extremely blessed in that regard, which isn't something I talk about often. But when I was in high school, I had a great aunt that passed, and she never married, never had children. So she left everything to four of us, me, my sister, and my two cousins. So I had a college fund, which is also part of the reason I'm like, I better make the most use out of this and get an engineering degree and really make it worthwhile. So I'm extremely fortunate to have had that financial security all through college.
But there's pressure that comes with that as well. I mean, different type of pressure, but there's still,
Yeah, I had to perform.
You better make something out of it.
Yeah.
You've been blessed with a gift. You better do something with it.
Exactly. So, in that regard, I'm super blessed. I would say more of my struggles sort of came once I started my career, and I really had to learn how to trust, who to trust, how to read relationships and really invest your time in, and who's really got your back and who's really looking out for what's best for you and who's just kind of using you. So some of my struggles kind of stemmed from that more than
there's a lot
more
of
than
pitfalls.
the educational side of it.
Sure. Well, you're both very, very bright, and obviously you navigate this business, which is a very difficult career. It is really, really hard, but you guys navigate it very well. And I'm impressed by that because it's not, everybody struggles until they decide to stop struggling, right? So when you make that decision, it's okay, listen, I got this obstacle in front of me, but I'm going to overcome it. I don't know if I'm going to go around it or through it over it, but I'm going to get past it.
Right.
So
With
when
help,
you,
I feel like but you need help of people.
absolutely, you can't do it alone.
Right. Can't do it alone.
Right.
Yeah. So I reached a point where I was at burnout. And that's when I left my job in West Virginia. I couldn't do it anymore. Took a really short-term little gig in Morgantown and then kind of fell backwards into GPI. So because of the network of people I met while I was working in West Virginia, shout out to Ed Nichols, he introduced me to Diane. He said, or he just called me randomly one day and he's like, hey, I didn't know you were like looking for a new job, but I know these folks in Pittsburgh that are really, looking hard for another engineer project manager. And I think you're a great fit. Like, would you be interested in talking to them?
Nice.
I said, yeah, I'll talk to them. I'll talk to anybody. And so that's when I met Diane, which was like 3.5 years ago now.
Yeah. See, again. People come into your life when they're supposed to be there.
I didn't know what GPI was. I had never heard of them, but I, instantly connected with her. And so I moved up here to work for GPI just based on that one relationship that opened the door for me. Yeah.
And that took a little bit of courage as well.
Yeah.
And when you think about, you were in Morgantown, you were in West Virginia those years, and you were actually in Morgantown, and yet you never became the mountaineer.
Oh, I know. I missed my chance. It has to be a student, though.
So
I should have gone back to grad school, I guess.
So disappointing. If you were planning ahead, you would have.
Wasn't on my radar.
You now have an opportunity to meet the mountaineer. Not only to meet the mountaineer, but to sit at the table, at the head table.
In Follansbee?
At Follansbee Community Days. Yeah, we have to hope that Mayor Velagal can sneak a ticket for you.
Well, if we go to Follansbee, we have to stop down and say hi to my old friends in Wellsburg.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Jim, I wanted to add one more thing about the cultural experience too, because being Black, and being in a position to really be able to, be a leader and be like, make more money than your parents ever did, like be able to be influential for your siblings, your cousins, and be a trailblazer. It's kind of like it's a great responsibility.
Absolutely.
A lot of people you might hear, from people with backgrounds like me that they were the first people to go to college and stuff like that, which I wasn't in that position. My parents, had college experience, but it still feels like, coming in and you're the only Black person in the office, you're the only Black person maybe at that company. It's like feeling like you have to represent every Black person.
Wow.
Which is like a lot
That's a heavy
weight.
load.
It's a lot of weight.
That's a heavy load.
Yeah.
That's a heavy load.
So, kind of walking through life with that, in the back of your mind is something that it's not easy, but it's also like empowering. Like I can do this. I have to represent, for my community. And I think a lot of Black people carry that with them too.
You make them very proud.
Yeah. Well, you wear it well. You do. You wear it well. And I think because you don't throw it out there. You know what I mean? You don't. I have never seen you say, I'm a Black female engineer.
Yeah.
Right. And that gets you that respect. Right. Because it is a heavy burden.
Because they see who I am.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't have to tell people. All you have to do is show them.
Right.
Right. And your actions will always speak louder than your words. Now, you guys both have met my most significant mentor, Marvin Williams. And we're all blessed by Marvin. You just met Marvin.
Yeah.
And he's been very anxious to meet you, as I told him all about you.
We had a great conversation.
And Marvin, wow. Marvin came into my life about over 20 years ago at Chester. We brought him in as a consultant. And Bruce Fletcher, who was my boss, called me in the office one day. And Marvin was in there, and he says, Marvin. I said, hey. He said, this is your new boss. And that's when I found myself in business development, right? So, but Marvin taught me everything I know about business, the engineering, business side of engineering. But Marvin and I we're like, I don't even know how to describe it. We just connected from the very beginning, and we're very similar in the fact that we're both transparent. We're wide open.
Yeah.
And we've had conversations about race, about so many things that's what makes me appreciate differences, the differences in us. When we look at our respective careers, there's a lot of similarities. My career has gone from the late 90s to where I'm at today because I met Marvin, right? Wow. But when you think about mentors, I think you guys both picked up on the priceless opportunity you have. And I say priceless because you can't put a dollar amount on it, to have a guy like that in your life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he's like, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody that does it better than him.
Yeah.
After we had our conversation, when I met him in person, I mean, I walked out there feeling like Superwoman. I'm like,
no, that's exactly what I was
I
thinking.
can touch the sky, you know what I mean? Like,
that's who he is.
Yeah.
Just given who he is, excuse me, the people he's met over his career, the impact he's had on communities throughout his career, just his connectedness to this industry. And then to have someone like him, like, speak about me, and he tells people that, Ashley's got it. Like, there's not a more flattering compliment than that coming from Marvin Williams.
Yeah. Not at all. He, you could walk into any major utility in this country and mention his name, and they know who he is.
Yeah.
And not only do they know who he is, they like him.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
he's so
the key.
likable.
That is the key.
Oh my gosh.
There's an unofficial fraternity around this country in the industry. It's the FOM fraternity, and I get inducted into it many years ago. It's Friends of Marvin.
Oh,
is literally what it's called. And I had honestly, I mean, just about every major connection that I've made outside of Pittsburgh came through him. I mean, the guy is he's just that guy.
Wow.
So
sounds like a Facebook group.
If you could ask Marvin one question, and it doesn't have to be about engineering, whatever. Think about it for 1 second, because we're coming up on Nick's timer. We're going to get the hook here any second. So think about it for a second, and we're going to let Nick do his thing, and then we'll come back. And I want you to, what is one question if you could ask Marvin anything that would be? Okay.
All right.
So back to my question. If you guys could ask Marvin Williams any question about anything, what would it be? Tyler, you go first.
My question to Marvin would be, being that he's an older black male, he's been through this industry, probably through a lot more adversity as a black male than I'm experiencing as a black woman, I think.
Generationally, I would say you're right.
Generationally, yes.
Yes.
It's different, for me and him, but he still has a unique experience in that and navigating that and doing it well.
Sure.
So I would ask him how, what is his greatest, advice to me navigating that space and trying to grow my career in a space that's still male dominated, still, very much lacking minorities.
Still, and listen, it's still very much middle-aged white guy driven. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is he's going to watch this, and I'm going to ask him when he watches this to send you guys a personal note and answer your question. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, because it's a real question.
It is. And listen, Marvin is very open about race and about all of the struggles and everything that he's gone through, not only professionally but personally. And he tells some great stories, and he has a lot of great insights. That's a great question. It really is.
Thank you.
Mine's related, but I'm, curious how he's really managed, or if there's any ways he would have improved his work-life balance throughout his career, because he's been everywhere and he's done everything, and he's still managed to successfully raise his two boys.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're such impressive young men. So that's my question is, how did you manage that work-life balance? And is there anything he would have improved upon looking back in hindsight? I know him and I have talked about brownie points with your partner and how that's such an important thing.
Yes.
But I mean, and that's a little piece of the puzzle, right?
Sure. And I know how he would answer both of those questions because I know him so well. But we're gonna leave it at that. Marvin will watch this, and my instruction to him, my request is going to be that he answer each of you individually. And I think you're going to be very impressed with what he says because, like I said, he's as open and honest. And this is a guy who is a Yale Law School grad but never practiced law.
I know.
Right? Never wanted to be an attorney, never wanted to go into law. He went to Yale Law School because back then, African Americans just didn't go to Yale Law School. That's why he went, right?
I love it.
I mean, and he's not an engineer. He's not technical in any way, shape, or form, but yet he was the general manager of the, LA Metro system. I mean, he's managed large transit authorities. He's managed huge wastewater projects. Mm-hmm. And I've done that, but on a smaller scale, right? So,
Marvin, were you ever intimidated by that? I mean, my gosh, I would be intimidated, and I am an engineer.
Not for a second.
Golly.
That's the thing. You go, if you go in to any endeavor, any project, anything that you go to, whether it's professional or personal, confident in yourself. Right? Confident in yourself and know that, here's where I need to be, but I may not hit that mark. But if I don't, that doesn't mean I failed. Right? So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn. So if I get to here, I'm going to learn from that so that I can hit the mark the next time. And that's, Marvin always told me that. I mean, it's all about life is about relationships. Business is about relationships, but it's always about the relationship with yourself. You have to respect yourself and have confidence in yourself, and you can't fail. You literally cannot fail, right? So I think those were great questions. I think that I'm very curious now as to what his response will be, but that's between you guys and him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wind down here a little bit, if you have one message that you could put out through this platform to a young person that may be not necessarily considering engineering, but on a personal level, might be struggling a little bit, trying to find their way, right? Whether it's a young female, a male, whatever's in your heart. What would be your message to? Because listen, let's be honest, it's tough being a young person today. Mm-hmm. It is difficult. I was blessed to grow up and come of age and be a teenager in the '70s, right? Because it was the '70s. I mean, it was like stuff happened, but nobody knew about it because.
No social media.
Yeah. So unless we told somebody, they didn't know.
Yeah.
So we were blessed with a little bit of anonymity. Now it's like everything's out there.
Yeah.
I learned about from my grandkids, Snapchat and all these. What the hell is that? It's crazy. So what advice would you give to a young person that might be out there struggling, trying to find their way?
My advice to that young person, I think, would be to spend time with themselves as much as possible and explore what their interests are in whatever capacity that they're able to. And, I think there's a lot more accessibility as far as, the internet and, you can learn a lot, on YouTube University.
Sure. Sure.
Try to utilize as many available tools that you have to leverage yourself to be able to make the next step. You can do it. I believe in you.
There you go. Absolutely. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, I agree. Putting the phone down is always a good thing. I try to get off the grid when I can. But I guess just based on my personal experience, I never thought that this career would give me an avenue to help people, because that's really the bottom line of what we do is we help people solve problems that they may not be able to solve themselves. So we're helping the general public, right? And that's very rewarding.
Absolutely.
But also, the environmentalist in me loves to be conscious of the fact that hey, we're providing safe drinking water to people.
Absolutely.
We are helping
in some cases, the first clean drinking water people have ever had.
Yeah.
Right?
I've experienced those moments.
Sure.
And clean wastewater going into the rivers. And so that whole environmental aspect of it is very rewarding as well. So just being conscious that, if those are values that you have, you don't have to go into engineering. You don't have to be an engineer to do those things. My stepdad worked for the city water department my whole life, and it wasn't until I was interning that I realized what he actually did and what he did really mattered.
Right.
I was actually at a training event with my boss. We were touring a drinking water plant, and I crossed paths with my stepdad. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he goes, aren't you supposed to be in school?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of in that moment that I realized like how important the work he does is. And yeah, he just started as a laborer, putting pipe in the ground for the water department, and worked his way up to be the supervisor of the distribution department. Yeah. So you can work at utilities, you can work in administration, you can be a surveyor. There's so many opportunities to be able to have that impact on the public and the environment that we do. Yeah.
Excellent. Now the follow-up to that is, what advice would you give me personally, and my generation, my demographic? I'm 63 years old. I've been in this business 40 years. I've seen it all, done it all. There's nothing that is going to surprise me. So if you could give me one piece of advice, me, Jim, to help better understand your generation, your demographic, where you are, what would that be?
Empathy.
Okay.
Try to have empathy.
That's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I don't know how to expand on that, but we'll go with that.
I would say stay open-minded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seek information. Seek more information, because there's still stuff that you probably don't know. You know what I mean?
You can learn something new every day.
You
I
could be
learn something
surprised.
every day.
Exactly.
I just learned that you guys both went to Perry High School, in two different Perry High Schools. So see, you learn, but even little things, that might seem like a small thing, but little things matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny. There was a new South Park episode on last night, and that was somewhat part of the message in the episode of not just believing everything you read either. Yes. But actually asking questions and trying to understand if that's true or valid, or really digging in a little deeper than just what's on the surface.
Yeah. Don't try to take your lens off of everything that you interpret.
Yeah.
Be objective sometimes.
Okay.
Right.
No, that's definitely good. And so what I want you to do is, I want you guys to make sure that if I ever don't do those things, you pull me aside and say, hey, listen, you and I had a conversation in line right here. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
And it was something that was just a phrase that I had heard my entire life.
Yeah.
Right? And you said, listen, there's a certain people that would find that offensive.
Yeah.
And until you said that, I never thought of it. Right?
Right.
So you can be, and you guys know me, that's not me. Right? I am so not that. But then I thought, holy crap. Wow. And I'll never forget that. I will appreciate that for as long as I'm wandering around, because, that's the last thing that I ever want to do. So I'm learning from you guys as you're learning from me, as we're all in this together. So I want you guys to make sure that, you keep an eye on me. Well, I'm old. I forget stuff. I go, you go do things. And sometimes people innocently, right? Because again, when you look at different cultures and different generations, something that means a certain thing to me might mean something completely different to you, and vice versa.
Right.
So as long as we support each other and we respect each other,
exactly.
I think we're going to go wherever. The sky's the limit. There is no limit.
Right.
We can go be anything that we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. The mutual respect is how those conversations happen and how that works.
Yeah.
And I believe that you guys are making me better, not only a better at what I do professionally, but a better man, a better human being. And I want you to keep doing that, right? So if you ever see me turn this way, pull me back. Don't hesitate.
Yeah.
You got it.
Because listen, I love you both. I appreciate everything that you've done and what you're doing for not only the company, but for our team. Again, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but we have a group right now that is as good as anybody in the business. And because we put people first, right? Obviously, we're a business. So, Krista, again, we're out here making money. But if you focus on the money, you're going to lose the people. If you focus on the people, the money will come. The money will follow the people, right? Yeah. Always remember that. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of everything that you've done and what you contribute. And like
Thanks
I
so
said,
much, John.
I love you both, man. Thank you for coming
you
on the
too.
show and doing this. And this is great. Look, Nick's even.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jim.
Look at him
Appreciate
smiling.
it being here. An
Oh, I
opportunity.
love you.
I love you guys too. This is we're a family, and that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. You know, you guys can count on me. I got your back.
I know.
feel like-
Spread your wings and be what you can be. I got your
We
back.
will.
I feel like this is like a group hug moment.
I know.
Well, I'm a hugger, you know, but
Yeah.
I'm a cautious hugger.